Welcome to Grit and Gravitas with Ann and Annie, bringing you savvy, spirited stories of success. We're excited to deliver 30 minutes of inspiration, impact, and goodness. We'll be bringing you guests and friends from around the country who have very special work and personal journeys. I'm Ann Deeter Gallaher, your co-host with Annie Carnathan, and this is Grit and Gravitas. Let's go!
Special live podcast for you today, Grit and Gravitas, hosted by Ann Deeter Gallaher, the owner and CEO of Deeter Gallaher Group. Let's hear it for Ann. And Annie Carnathan, marketing and digital media firm, president and CEO of Universal Media Incorporated, one of the largest independent media placement companies in the U.S. Will you welcome Grit and Gravitas, Ann and Annie, come on up. The walk-up song is Ben Gallaher, her son. So, Grit and Gravitas delivers authentic talk with industry leaders who have forged inspiring paths to business victory. So, Ann and Annie, have you guys ever done it in front of a live audience?
Not this size. Not this size.
We're breaking new ground. So can they cheer? Can they make noise in the background?
Absolutely.
Come on, make some noise.
Absolutely. Now, Tom, they can't walk out. You can't walk out, but you can cheer and stand.
Take it away, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tomas. Great guy, Tom Russell.
Yes. Thank you to Abir and Tanya and everybody at Events by Eye Candy and all you sponsors. You rock.
Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. You could be anywhere else today and you're here, so let's get it together.
So we are savvy, spirited stories of success. And I'm super excited to say here today, this would be episode 83. We are on year 4 doing this, and what came as a pipe dream, a quick background here. Annie said, you want to go to lunch? I said, absolutely. She opens the lunch conversation, say, do you want to do a podcast? Okay, well, yes. When she says, do you want to, you just say yes, and you surrender. And like you say, it's easier that way. It's easier that way.
And I think I said to her, women don't do enough for women. And we can talk about that, or here's an idea to actually do something actionable about that. So to lead, you need people to lead with you, and you need someone to go first. And when I tell you neither one of us could figure out how to do a podcast, it was solely with the intent to help each and every one of you in this audience as a passion project, as a labor of love, and it is our love language. And without guests to follow, this is incredible to be here today because of you.
Yes, thank you. So we have some podcast guests in the house. Quick start. Nancy Ryan was our very first guest. She said yes on day 1 when we started this, and we're super excited for that. We like to say in 80-some episodes that it's really like an executive education course. If you've ever done any continuing ed or executive ed, it's hard to find that kind of knowledge and insight. You're not going to learn it in most classrooms. Sorry, Ski, you probably will in some classrooms, but that kind of entrepreneurial insight and wisdom that you're only going to hear from someone who has gone before you or struggled with things or had setbacks and comebacks. And that was our purpose, to really draw on those CEOs, entrepreneurs, mid-careerists, middle managers, and new to the workforce guests to tell us what's your story, what's your experience, so all of you in podcast land would be able to benefit from that.
And huge shout out to Abir and Tanya, because we say, hey, what if the keynote was something you never thought of, or just sort of turned that upside down? What would it be like if we did this? So shout out to them, because they said yes. And this is a handful, right? It's just different, it's innovative, and in their 11th year, every year, this is just bigger and better because of you. So it all ties to that central mission of how do we help women and help the men who love us, right?
And the theme, I know, for a lot of the panels today, and our theme is going to be Unstoppable Journey. And we're going to go through a couple talking points. Annie doesn't love scripted. I, in PR, we love scripts. We like everybody to stay on point. So I honestly don't know where this will go, but it is on video, Annie, so I'm just saying. So on Unstoppable Together, which is a perfect win-win for us, but as we have combined 60 years of experience doing this, and we don't have a magic bullet for success. We're still trying to figure it out. But I think we came up with a few insights, and we're going to ping pong back and forth from each other on what are some tips and insights to make your own unstoppable journey in whatever position or career you're in. And I had them all listed out, and this morning I quick scratched down number one. Stay in a good headspace. Where your mind is, your future goes. Where you think it, and you start to believe it, and you start to do it. So number one, Annie, is just put yourself in the very best headspace you can be in.
And when you need help, if you're having an Eeyore day, you got to go find a Tigger. And the days you're Tigger, you got to help somebody out of their Eeyore. Because you can't let a bad day make you think you have a bad life, a bad career, a bad family, woe is me, because you are what you think. I mean, we can talk about it and talk about it. It's fundamental. And you have to love yourself no matter what, right? And you have to find the people that support that and love you just as much for whatever you need that day, and be able to reach out to that.
No, that's great. So number two I came up with, and you've just checked this off your box by today, is network, network, network. You're either selling yourself to your boss, why you want a promotion. You're selling yourself to clients. I see a lot of bankers in here. You're selling yourself to customers and members. You're selling yourself to your clients if you're doing a pitch. So who you surround yourself in, the rooms that you show up in, also determine your future business success.
And I don't have to tell you the negative connotation sales has, right? It's a BS profession. You're saying what you need to say to sell someone. That is the antithesis of me. I essentially look for ways to improve whatever position someone was in. I want to help everyone, and I believe that. And so I think, too, when you find that purpose, and we all need to wake up with a purpose, that is key and centric to how you define yourself and how everyone then will perceive you.
And I see a lot of new faces in this room. I see some familiar faces that we've been here the last 10 years together. But I would encourage you, don't leave this conference without getting 10 business cards or connections, or airdropping photos with each other. And that can start your network. And these women and men in the room would absolutely be people that would open doors for you and advocate for you and make recommendations for you. There's a saying that says your network is your net worth. Who can you call when you have a crisis, you have a challenge? Probably in COVID was the best example of that. If you didn't have your bank CEO or your bank lender in your text messages or your addresses, you were in trouble. It took you a long time to figure things out. So surround yourself with absolutely fabulous people. Number three is a big one for me. I haven't mastered it yet. Annie's better at this, and I know you'll add some stories. Develop resilience. If you're a business owner, you need it in spades, because you're going to have some bad days. You're going to have clients that say no. You're going to have customers that leave. And how you develop that hard outer shell is so important. I haven't mastered it yet. I'm working on it, but with 3 sons and a husband, the men around me are trying to help me, like, hun, I don't know why you see it that way. And I'm like, oh, It's a bad day.
When I think about persuasion and I think about a lifelong career of sales, and is it the chicken or the egg, no one normalizes no as well as I do, because I get to determine if no is a stop, if no is a pause, if I want to continue on. And so I'd rather someone say no, but, no, I can't do that, but. And the last thing I'll say about no, especially where women are concerned, our time is concerned, we apologize too much, and we prioritize based on the most important things to us. If someone says, no, I don't have time for that, what it's saying to me is it's not a priority to them. And think about that. We all have the same amount of hours in a day. We all have a myriad of things we could do, which is why I'm impressed with you to be here today. You took the time. You prioritized yourself. You prioritized the reason for the conference. And so no isn't anything to shy away from. It's nothing to apologize for. It's no, but, and no, I'm not going to serve on that board. It's not worth prioritizing my time to be there. I'd rather do this where I'm impacting the most amount of people that I can.
And I'm going to add a part B to the develop resilience is develop emotional resilience. And there's a saying, I had a client that I worked with for a very, very long time, and some of their core principles for the company in there was assume positive intent. And it stuck with me because I can very easily go from A to Z. When you get an email and I'm assuming what was the meaning of that email, they use an exclamation point, so I think pretty sure that's a bad thing. Or they use 3 exclamation points. Developing that, lens of positive intent, that it probably wasn't, intended to be something as severe as I thought that it was.
That's why human contact is the best. This is even better because you can interpret body language. People give themselves away. It's an entirely different, real conversation in person as a connection than it will ever be from a technology standpoint. And there's nothing better than this.
Next one up, say yes to hard things. There's a chapter in Women in High Gear that I co-wrote that says, get uncomfortable and grow. And we've had that conversation with my 3 sons and my daughter-in-laws. Saying yes to hard things just makes us stronger. And it's uncomfortable sometimes, like saying yes to a podcast that you've never done before and you don't know anything about the technology of what's required for a podcast. But we felt that we could figure that out.
Well, in the current, just like the women's conference, just like all of you, we cared about helping women. We cared about each step forward, the crawl, walk, run, and now the letters and the texts and the shares and strangers that stop us. The impact of that is enormous. But I would be absolutely misleading you if for a second I thought, most podcasts end after 8, and I think we're talking 83 now, with really cool things coming because what? People believe in us, people understand the mission and are going to get on board with it. So that is extraordinary.
Next one I was thinking of is be self-aware. Have a circle of friends, and I say this professionally as well as personally, that you can tap to say, did I come off, am I sounding okay? We're pretty good at self-awareness, or you'll tell me if I'm, sounding not the way I want to sound. But surround yourself with truth tellers. There's no advantage as you rise in the ranks. I had a wonderful conversation with a CEO one time, and it was a public company, and he said, Ann, the higher up the executives go, especially around the boardroom, and the more zeros after that first number in the salary, the less they are apt to tell you the truth. And I said, it's always, I want to surround myself with people that are brutally honest and tell me the truth so we can get uncomfortable and grow.
But I'll just caution you, if you're going to do that, you have to be completely at peace in your heart that whatever they tell you has the best intent. because we've all had people say, tell me the truth, and it altered fundamentally the relationship after that because they didn't really want to hear the truth, right? And so there's a discernment there and a way that we have to read the room and we have to be self-aware and style-wise, how direct are we going to be? How gently do we want that truth to land? Who is our audience? And that's primarily about being self-aware. And we all better have people that at a moment's notice will tell us the truth, because we all feel gaslighted at some point, like we're the only people who have ever thought this, felt this, or otherwise politically had to move forward. And I'm talking politically at work, right? So I think that's really hard won. It's hard fought. Anne could say whatever she wanted to me, and I know what's in her heart, and I'm going to take it to heart. And I do not want other people like me. I don't learn from other people like me. I learn from different opinions and views and experiences in business.
Good, thanks, Annie. Another one I've learned through maybe the hard way. So this is year 24 for Deeter Gallaher Group, and it's get back up. So I have 3 sons. They were all wrestlers. And what I learned by brutally watching the wrestling mat for many more years than I care to confess to, a lot of entrepreneurship principles and skills were learned on the wrestling mat. One of the 2 of the individuals was coming off the mat as the loser. And generally, you know, if you're Cedar Cliff or Cumberland Valley, there's a dome light coming down. The entire gymnasium is black, pressure's on. So these young students, you know, guys and girls now, they really learn lessons in getting back up. So they're coming off, they lost the match, they got to get back in the workout room, they're going to eat less, unfortunately, they're going to work harder and get out and try it again, 1-to-1. And I learned that that's really the same skills that the entrepreneur needs. You need the resilience, you need guts, you've got to, you know, be in the absolute best headspace. Because a lot of athletics is all about headspace. And then the skills come. But if you don't start with that winning edge or thoughts in your mind, it's difficult to get back up.
And I'm a huge believer as a leader in failing forward. And I would submit to you that failure is absolutely crucial. It's absolutely necessary, because if you're not failing, you're entirely too comfortable. And it's not a destination, it's a journey. And trust me when I tell you, if it's a destination, you're going to get run over. And so we have to fail forward, we have to fail intelligently, and most importantly, we have to learn from those failures to get better and better and better, because it never, ever ends in terms of learning, in terms of failure, and in terms of the journey.
Good. So next one up is conquer your fears. And I have a whole host of them, and I try to keep most of them at bay and behind. But again, say yes to the hard things, but conquer that might be holding you back in business success. And it could be in your current position, and maybe a fear of asking for a raise or the art of negotiation. Maybe it's the fear of going out on your own and starting a business, or thinking, should I go back to college? And you know, you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s. And that seems fearful, but I would say do it scared. Don't let it hold you back. Do it scared.
Fear's sort of a nice little cocoon when you think about it, because it's a paralysis. And no one knows the outcome, but I would always rather be impacting the outcome than sitting there not knowing. But you have to get really comfortable with what may or may not happen. But if I leave and I say I did the very best I could, and if I couldn't do it, it can't be done, trust me when I tell you, I believe that. And I'm going to be better for it, and I'm going to go back out, and I'm going to conquer that, and I'm going to go. But that's easily sort of simple to say. Boy, that's hard earned. And so it's a journey again.
When I say surround yourself with truth tellers, I have 2 older brothers. And I used to be petrified to speak in public, petrified. So if you would have told me back in college I was going to, you know, speak in front of people, and he has his own business in Philadelphia, and I used to say, Philip, what if I pass out when I'm up there? He said, well, someone will pick you up. I said, okay. So surround yourself, and really, I didn't put on here, have a good sense of humor too.
She passed out. I'm just going to start dancing again because I have no idea what to do for her, and somebody going to have to rise up and come on up and resuscitate her. But yeah, we'll get that done.
So yeah, do it scared anyway. Next is taking calculated risks. Raise your hand if you're a business owner in the room. Oh, good. So you all know about calculated risks. And maybe the first risk for the bankers and credit unions in the room is going to ask for the loan. And that's, a huge personal risk. You think you're going in there, you're asking for this. I had off-ramped for 15 years as a stay-at-home mom and came back and started my business at age 40. And you say that to a commercial lender, they're like, let me think about that, Ian. So you need to, don't be risk adverse.
And just take a sampling of the Grit and Gravitas shows where the guests have been extraordinarily vulnerable, who talk about their failures, who talk about being lost, who talk about their fear. Think about that. And take a cross sample of that and understand what it meant to get back up one more time than they fell. And the extraordinary, inspirational, courageous stories within that show do as much for me as it will ever have done for them. And think about that, right? It's all predicated on moving forward, learning, and conquering what you perceive to be the undoable.
I wrote an op-ed not too long ago, and it's titled The 87 Rule. And if you have, aging parents, it becomes very clear to you. But so in our family, we used to say, if you're not going to remember it when you're 87, don't waste another minute in anxiety or worry about it now. So sometimes, again, about the failure is not fatal. So decisions that we spend an immense amount of emotional and intellectual energy on, 10 years down the road, you'd be hard-pressed to even remember what you were worried about.
We have vivid imaginations. We need people who are going to get in that headspace and break that down into doable bites. It's Grit and Gravitas, right? A 4-year overnight success story. Here we are, right? And I hope we just keep being able to talk to people like you to share this. How can we help you? It's a show by women, for women, that help everyone if they can take 30 minutes and just listen to uninterrupted, incredible stories. So when you think about that, in 87, day at a time, but have people that can break down that overwhelming mountain into steps.
Well, by women, for women, and for men too. It's required listening in our house for all the men, so we love their feedback too. Next insight I was thinking is take responsibility. And the buck does stop with the business owner or the CEO. But even if you're mid-level or you're new to your career, this is your first job, get comfortable with responsibility. And sometimes, that hurts a little bit. You're embarrassed or you feel like you made a mistake, and a simple apology is part of responsibility.
It's not that hard to say you're sorry. But I want to take one step back about men, right? Husband, son, lots of men. But here's the thing. We get questions about whether we've made a dent in a man's world, and I'm basically like, don't hate the player, hate the game. Whatever it is, you have to succeed. And there aren't any trapdoors. There's no reasons. There's no excuses. Here's the bottom line. If a man is in a CEO, he's in the C-suite at all, we need him to promote us. We need him to change the discourse. We need him to have as much confidence in us as he's had in himself or any other leader he has. Man, woman, gender neutral, we have to compete, we have to be the best, and we have to make it impossible not to win that chair. And so, of course, we love men, but if they listen, they get a little bit of insight into what? The challenges we have, the multitasking we have. Most of us are CEOs of our homes, and the ability to do so many different things well. So again, I mean, it's different for women, and that's what we're sharing, but men need to believe in us and promote us.
Yeah. We spend an awful lot of time in our offices or doing our jobs, probably the lion's share of our time of every day. And I always try to practice humility, like keep that reminder to be humble in every decision. Now, I confess it's a little difficult for a PR professional when our job is to, shout everybody's stories from the rafters. But that's not exclusive from humility. We love to share good stories.
Can we get questions now? Is it too early? Can we get questions now?
Yeah, is there a question?
I'm tired of listening to me. I love listening to her, but I rather hear what you're thinking and what we can sort of give you a hot take on. Am I really totally busting a whole move here?
No, you're holding the mic.
I do have the mic.
Abir and Tanya?
Abir and Tanya, can we get questions now? Yeah? You go, girls. Abir, Tanya. Yeah. That's my favorite sister. What a powerhouse duo, though, right? Like, they're doing this because they care about women, right? Let's give it a woo!
Thank you. So
I challenge any non-guest to ask the first question. Any non-guest to ask the first question. Who's going to go first? Come on now.
Oh.
Give it up.
Pamela?
Hello. My name is Pamela Hill from Signature Staffing. My question is, in our world of women's business, we can all look back and say, we haven't gotten to where we are by ourselves. Who would you say has mentored you or been the most inspirational or the most motivational person that has gotten you to where you are?
You're looking at me. You may take that first. You take that. Without question, it would be my husband. He has been my cheerleader in the wings the entire time. When I had this idea, when I said, what do you think if, he went to the bank with me, he's supported me. He's not on any social media. That will be a total shock to everybody. And I'm generally out front and he's the cheerleader. So I would absolutely say Corey.
And I would say I'm a quilt. And to start naming people, because I have so many grains of sand now on my mile-long beach, and it's no question that the beach is my happy place. I could not tell you the amount of people that I carry with me who have cared about me, who have let me care about them, who have sustained relationships, who've made time for me, who have done enormous things to say, yes, we're going to follow you, we're going to follow UMI, we're going to go where you go, for the same reasons Ann said yes. And so, Pamela, I think that's extraordinary because I could go through this room and tell you each and every reason the people I know well and what they've meant for me.
Right.
And that, I think, is, someone told me once I collect people, and I 100% collect people.
No, good. Thanks, Pamela. Another question. Lucy, did you have one?
Oh, there.
Oh, yes.
If it's really hard, Ann's going to take it.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for doing this. This is great. Hi, Ann. Nice to see
Hi.
you. So, imposter syndrome. Favorite
Yes.
word in the room? What do you say to those who are like, that imposter syndrome is always sitting on my shoulder. How do I silence that voice?
We just did an episode, it's not released yet, on that very
Literally on imposter
point.
syndrome, we just recorded it. Yeah, Ann hit me with a topic because when we do it ourselves, I don't know the topic she's going to introduce, and I don't know what she's just to get the both of us. But you want to?
It is pervasive, and it's not age respective. You would figure that a lot of us in the room who own businesses who are successful by different measures don't have it. I'm here to say we do have it. Just this morning I went through it. I had a conversation with an extremely successful woman, and she said, oh, I don't know, I think I have imposter syndrome. And I said to her, if you have it, we're all sunk because you're at the pinnacle. And again, that's just getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. and knowing in your heart that you're giving it your all, and this is a great experience, and we're blessed to be having it.
I have to say, not that I've never had it, but I don't identify with it, but I do think that there are crises of confidence. There's nerves, and I think I have too many scars and too many cuts and too much of hard-earned battle to think I don't know precisely why I'm not where I am, and how it's very interesting when people disagree with me. Again, I don't want an echo chamber. I don't learn anything that way, and so again, it's not anything I've ever identified with or had, but I certainly think there are elements to that where I have to fight a little bit harder to go in, right? Because fear is built into my bones, it's built into my DNA to keep me alive, right? From prehistoric times. So sometimes I have to fight harder than others, but that show was really good. So that's coming out, and those are the things we do that try to help you. That's a great question. Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, good.
Kristen, you go, girl. You am my badass. Yeah, baby. Woo!
We were just discussing failure, and how do you, as some of the most successful women I know, handle when you get a no?
The most no's wins. And if I'm not getting enough of them, I'm not either asking enough, I'm not pushing boundaries enough, I'm not uncomfortable enough. All right? It's interesting. The more you make people comfortable with no, the more you're going to get to what is centric to them. All right? Because you're peeling an onion. You're paring the layers down to go, what's important to you? And is it this? No. Is it that? No. And if you're not asking those questions with no, you're not getting to what's really important. So from a sales mentality, right, commission, the most no's wins, because you're finally going to gather up enough to get to that yes.
And I think there's several instances in my life where I got a no, and I went back, and it was the fourth communication that got me to the yes. It was a situation where I was not taking it personally, but I really wanted the end result. And it was, a respectful confidence that was going in this instance was an email, and it was a big win, it was a big get, but I kept going back. I would not accept the no. And so in those cases, it's good. I don't like to receive no's. I don't like to say no. That's another topic for another day.
I don't mind.
Putting up barriers and boundaries.
Well, and I'll just tell you, one of our biggest partners took 5 years in Des Moines, Iowa. Another one is 9 years long, and I'm going to get it. It is futile to resist me. So the time has not been right, but I adore these people, I respect these people, and I covet them more every day for what they're going to teach me when I finally am walking side by side, partnering with them. So again, 5 years, 7 years, 9 years in states across the country, it's going to happen if the timing is right and you get enough no's and you're aligned properly.
Good. Do we have another question?
All right, we have room. One more question.
Okay.
Lucy?
Oh, good. Wait. Tanya's coming.
Shout out to Lucy with the pumpkin rep on here. She's beautiful. No brighter person than Lucy, everybody.
You're sweet.
Yes.
That's my Tigger right there.
I love you guys. What are your top strategies every day to fuel that mindset, to get your head in the game and keep your head in the game, to get through those days, those challenges, those no's, those successes, all of that? How do you fuel that mindset every day and stay tough?
Well, for me, it's music, it's devotional, it's, spending time with family that just reminds me of really what's important in life. Sometimes the mind space gets with things that are important for the moment, but not really important in the scheme of life. So I remember, surrounding yourself with people like Lucy, you're never gonna have a bad moment, gets me in the best headspace.
Lucy, the question was how do you stay positive every day, or?
How do you fuel that mindset? You know, to stay in the game, to
Yep.
stay positive, to stay resilient. Really to, every day be able to get up with the
Yeah.
energy and the mindset to tackle the day and tackle whatever it
And
is.
sometimes we don't feel like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my. So they're character building days, right? But again, I think it's that quick something to someone that's that bright, shiny spark. It's that just solid, you know what you're getting every time you need that, and the same is being reciprocated back. I call that my personal board of directors.
Yep.
And they're really hard won and hard fought over 36 years in business. And I covet them, and every day I have must do today, hope to do today. Wow, if all ships come in, I'm going to get that done today. And I move everything around based on the priority. So before I came here, my team's like, we got a problem in Minnesota. Can you get on a call right now? So I got here later, but I had to prioritize that, right? So again, I think just knowing that and having your heart full and knowing you did everything you could for today, tomorrow's another day, God willing, right? You just want to wake up and get another crack at it. And when I do, I'm grateful.
So we are beyond honored to sit and share with you, share some of our experiences, and we hope you network the entire rest of the day. You leave here with 20 new women and men friends to do bigger business, better business, and
reach out. Who would make a great guest? What would you like us to talk about? What are some questions? And share this show because it's solely to help you. And again, Abir, Tanya, can't thank you enough because it amplifies the mission of why we're doing this.
we can't wait for the award winners.
So wait a second, before you leave, I lied, I have one more question. You have interviewed a ton of people and huge community leaders, and you guys always talk about vitamins. What is the one vitamin that has stuck with you from all the interviews? I know you weren't prepped, but
Oh, golly.
one vitamin.
It's a good thing I only have one kid. I have one favorite kid. No question for me is resilience and the ability with which to be in amazement of the women that have absolutely just been resilient. Because I think that when you're a leader, it's very isolating, and you sort of think someone's always upset with you, someone's always not happy with you, and so the decisions you make for groups become very, very burdensome sometimes. And while you think it's right, it's tough. And so I think that one part of resilience, of which every single guest has demonstrated in a real story, is my one business vitamin.
I would say lift others up. Everybody started unsure, scared, uncomfortable, not knowing what the future was. And if someone reaches out to you and asks for coffee, I've had a ton of those situations, I always say yes. Even if I don't know them, even if it's a college student, you never know what that means in their life, and a lot of people said yes to me. And so I love to reach down and make sure if someone's just coming to the workforce that they know that this is a fabulous place to be. It's full of a bright future.
Shout out to Ian Gallaher!
Thank you, everybody. You
She's
all
out of
rock.
her comfort zone, and she's awesome, right? Shout out.
Thanks for listening. It's our desire that these stories will bring energy, ideas, and fresh thinking that you can use today. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram, and have a high gear day.